Hi! In this video, we are going to look at making suggestions while we talk about youth rights. Before we start, I have this question for you. Do you know which rights the youth has in your country or in the world? Think about it for a moment. Which rights does the youth, the young people, have? Right? Thank you for considering that answer. Now, let's read the following text about youth rights. All right, let's read it together. The United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child applies to persons under 18 years of age. However, young adults who move between two stages of life face various situations that limit their potential for development. This makes them vulnerable to discrimination in ways such as difficulties in accessing education, quality employment, good jobs, social protection, and full access to civil and political rights. For example, the right to vote, right? Or the right to participate in some political assignments. Given the barriers that young people face, means that they have to confront because of their age, specific protection is needed to address discrimination against young people and remove the difficulties that limit them from accessing their rights. Wow, this is very good material to know. Let me ask you some questions to make sure that you understood some basic concepts in this text. First, what age group of people does the right of the child apply to? What age group? All people or persons, I think it says persons under 18 years of age. How old are you? Does that apply to you? Okay. Now, tell me, is this true or false? Young adults are not vulnerable to discrimination because of their age. Is that true or false? It is false. Yes, they are vulnerable. You may be vulnerable. All right. When we hear about these concepts about discrimination, about youth groups, about rights for the youth, we may think about many things that we can suggest to make things better for that age group, especially if you are involved in it, right? So, many times when we want to express our opinions about what concerns us, we may need to use some ways of expressing opinions, especially if we're making suggestions. So for that, I know that you may have a lot of things to say and to propose, suggest about youth rights. I would like to go over some expressions that we may use for making suggestions. For example, we could say, what would happen if, all right? So instead of just saying something, suggest something, we can offer it in a polite way so that we give the other person the opportunity to think about the situation that it is important to us and about what we are saying. So in that way, we could say, what would happen if, so they think with you instead of just accepting or thinking about the suggestion. They think with you. We also give them an opportunity to think by saying, how about we, all right? Or what about, or why don't we? Or we could just say, let's try this, all right? Could we? Should we? Maybe we should. I'd recommend. Or just invite them to think with you. Let's think for a moment. and then you can combine this with something else. Let's think for a moment. Could we do this? All right. So those are expressions that we could use to express our suggestions. All right. If, for example, in the text, they are saying that given the barriers that young people face because of their age, specific protection is needed to address discrimination. So we could say, let's think for a moment. How about we control or we make adults responsible about the protection that they should give to young people? Instead of just saying, young people should be protected. No, we could ask the other person to think with us, all right? So actually, I would not like for you to just use the text that I gave you, but I have a second text that may complement what I told you or what I showed you in the previous text. And I have this activity for you. It says, using phrases you learned in this lesson, yes, for making suggestions, write 5 suggestions or proposals related to the information in the following text. So I have a new text for you. This is the text, and the title is Freedom from Discrimination. I want you to look at it, read it, and in a moment, I'm going to read it with you so that you can make your suggestions, all right? I'm going to give you a moment just to read the text, all right? Pause the video and read the text for a moment, all right? All right, thank you for having paused the video. Now I'm going to read the text with you, just to make sure that if there's any clarification that I consider important, I will make it there. And then you are going to write some suggestions about that text, all right? It says, freedom from discrimination. All the rights set forward, means expressed, in international instruments must be guaranteed without discrimination of any kind, means with no discrimination at all. Nonetheless, which means however, discrimination is still a huge barrier in society. It is an obstacle. The general grounds mentioned are race, color, sex, language, religion, political or other opinions, national or social origin, membership of a national minority, property, birth or other status, and age. Right? Sexism is also explicitly mentioned, especially in the context of finding employment. All right? So all these things can be important for you to consider in terms of making suggestions about inviting people to think about the issue or proposing to do something specific. All right? If you want to look at it again, you're welcome to. But right now, I like to invite you to pause the video again and think about 5 suggestions that you could make about that text. All right? Pause the video, complete the activity, please. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your 5 suggestions. I know they will be different from the ones that I am going to show you, but this will give you an idea, especially of using the expressions that we have reviewed. All right? Let's read them together. What would happen if we don't guarantee the rights of young people? That is important to think about, yes? Why don't we research if these rights have been guaranteed at all times? All right? Instead of saying research, no, we say, why don't we research? What about taking into consideration the opinions of the young people? That is a very general suggestion that affects many, many areas. Yes. How about this one? Let's work together to stop sexism in our homes, schools, and workplaces. That is a very direct suggestion. Let's work together. What I like about this is that it's not, let's do this. It is, let's work together. Yes, let's unite forces, so join forces, so that we can achieve better results that will benefit everybody. And the last one, how about we start teaching new generations about equality? Wow, these are very good suggestions, and I want for you to not only think about what would happen to you in this moment, how you could benefit you and your age group, but future generations. That is very important to consider as well. All right, I am going to pause my video so that you can listen to the pronunciation of this, and as you listen to the native speaker, you pronounce with him. All right, go ahead.
What would happen if we don't guarantee the rights of young people? Why don't we research if these rights have been guaranteed at all times? What about taking into consideration the opinions of the young people? Let's work together to stop sexism in our homes, schools, and workplaces. How about we start teaching new generations about equality?
All right, thank you. Thank you very much for having pronounced this with the native speaker, and especially for having considered using some expressions for making suggestions. Remember that we just don't offer our recommendation or advice or opinion, but we can introduce it with something that makes the other person think and join us in considering a solution to some problem that we may see potentially. All right. Thank you very much for your hard work, and I will see you in the next video.